in the early 1900s.
Hold on, Frank. I want you to start with why you were telling this story. Why did you tell this story?
Oh, I was giving communion
Where?
at Church of Christ, Park Avenue Church of Christ in Denison. And before you make the talk before communion, just say it, you can give a short talk. And it was my time to do the communion. So I got up and I told a story about in the early 1900s, the most famous pianist in the world was Paderewski, a Polish. I forget his first name, Paderewski. He was known worldwide. In the United States, he was very popular. World War I came though and stopped him from playing. Until the war was over. When the war was over, he started touring. And he's on 1922, he made a tour of the United States. This was back before airplane flights from on tour or tour buses. So he rented a railroad car and lived in it while he went from city to city to perform. They took him, and dragged him, then they'd stop there, and he'd have a place to live, and then transportation to the next place. One place he went was Milwaukee. There was a woman in Milwaukee, I think her name was Betty, I'm wrong, probably wrong, who had a little boy who was about 7 or 8 years old. And she saw where Paderewski was going to appear in Milwaukee. And she wanted her boy to learn to like classical music. And she wanted him to learn to play the piano. And she was giving him piano lessons. Paderewski.
She wanted to classical piano. She wanted him to learn classical.
Yeah, she wanted him to learn piano and learn to like and play classical piano. So she wanted to take him to see Paderewski. She saved her money and bought 2 tickets for the good seats for the night of the performance. And the day of the performance, she and Billy left early and got to the auditorium early before the big crowd came. And they went and sat down in their seats very close. The only thing on the stage was a grand piano, and in front of it was the platform for the conductor of the orchestra. And as they were getting to wait, Billy, like all little boys will do, said, "Mama, I gotta go to the bathroom." She said she didn't want him to get up and go during the performance, so she said, "Okay, go ahead." The bathrooms were in the front lobby. So Billy left. She said, "Now, Billy, you come back soon." He said he would. He went to the bathroom, and he didn't come back. And she began to get anxious. She didn't know what to do. She kept watching the back door for him, and this is as the big crowd was coming in. And people were loading the auditorium. She didn't know what to do, and as she was watching the back door, she heard a noise. She was afraid to look, but she did, and there seated at the grand piano was Billy, playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, the first thing he had learned in piano lessons. The crowd got quiet, listening to him play. And as he was playing, from the left side of the stage, from behind the curtain, stepped Paderewski himself. Paderewski then walked very slowly and quietly until he was directly behind Billy. When he got directly behind him, he bent over and reached around Billy to both sides and told Billy, said, "Keep going, don't stop." Billy heard him and said, "Oh, okay," and kept going. Paderewski reached around him and began to add beautiful notes to the music and turned Twinkle Twinkle Little Star into a beautiful piece of classical music. When he finished, he put his arms down and turned around and ran off the stage as Billy ran off the stage and ran down to his mother's seats. As we're taking communion this morning, first then I offered communion prayer. I told everybody, I was fixing to pray, and I added a prayer for the loaf and then the fruit of the vine. And I told the audience, I said, now let me suggest that when you take the communion, try closing your eyes for a minute and picture Jesus coming up behind you and putting his arms around you and adding beautiful notes to your life. And that was it.
Thank you, Delmas.